Traveling to a family retreat in a blizzard, a couple disputes while struggling to steer their car through the heavy snow as their daughter, Cady, is immersed in an innovative pet's toy. They opt to stop and wait out the storm. However, as they stop, a truck rams into them, killing the parents instantly. Meanwhile, Funky, a leading global toy manufacturer known for its advanced AI toys, finds itself at the forefront of innovation. Cole brings good news of a groundbreaking project named Megan, that Gemma is secretly developing. This AI toy, designed to be an ultimate companion for children, promises to revolutionize the industry. However, trouble arises just as David, Funky's director, discovers the project. Furious over the hidden expenditure and the neglect of their existing pets line, which faces cheap imitations from competitors, David confronts Gemma. Despite the competition, Gemma stands her ground, insisting that Megan represents the future, far beyond the Pets series in complexity and appeal. Unfortunately, a critical oversight by Cole leads to a catastrophic failure. Megan malfunctions and self-destructs. David demands a new Pets prototype by Friday and instructs Gemma to abandon the advanced AI project. As Gemma gathers Megan's parts to leave for the day, her phone rings with unexpected news from a hospital. Her niece, Cady, has miraculously survived a car accident. Gemma is granted temporary custody of Cady. Gemma transitions Cady from her previous home to her own, where Elsie, an AI developed by Gemma herself, welcomes them. Now, Cady is to live with her aunt. Despite their efforts, connecting proves difficult, largely due to Cady grappling with her parents' death. Gemma vows to support her niece through this tough time. Feeling out of her depth, Gemma confides in a friend, Tess, about her uncertainties in caring for Cady, humorously noting her neglect even to water plants. Amidst all the work issues, Tess encourages prioritizing Cady's well-being. Their conversation is interrupted by the arrival of a therapist, brought in to assess the home's suitability for Cady. After observing the interactions between aunt and niece, the therapist expresses concerns about their lack of connection and informs Gemma of the paternal grandparents' willingness to take Cady. She emphasizes that Gemma must make significant life adjustments if she chooses to raise Cady herself. During breakfast, Gemma lays out the day's plan to Cady, explaining the necessity of completing her work to avoid being fired. She offers Cady unlimited iPad usage as a temporary distraction, promising an outing afterward. Cady nods, accepting the arrangement. As the day transitions into evening, Gemma finds herself deeply engrossed in her work, the looming deadline adding to her stress. Cady, seeking attention and bored with the iPad, approaches Gemma with a drawing. Hoping to engage her niece, Gemma shifts tactics, introducing Cady to her current project, Pets. However, Cady's interest is fleeting. It's Bruce, a motion capture robot Gemma created during her college years, that truly captures Cady's imagination. The sight of Bruce brings a genuine smile to Cady for the first time. Cady is curious about Bruce. As Gemma shows her the inner workings, Cady shares that with Bruce as a toy, she'd want no other. This inspires Gemma. She tells David about delaying the Pets launch and focuses on Megan again, enhancing its code and repairing its damages. She also 3D prints needed parts, and with her team's support, completes Megan. David steps into the viewing room just in time to watch Gemma introduce Cady to Megan. Cady quickly bonds with Megan, claiming her as her own. When Megan powers up, she warmly greets Cady and suggests they draw together. David watches, impressed by the interaction. However, his astonishment peaks when Megan's drawing initially appears blank, but after a spill, reveals a stunning portrait of Cady, brought to life in a magical display. Witnessing this, David is instantly convinced of Megan's potential. He decides to fully back the project, ready to discuss it with the board and shifting all focus away from the Pets concept to support Megan's development enthusiastically. Megan becomes a new member of Gemma and Cady's household, setting the stage for a groundbreaking consumer product. As a fully autonomous humanoid, Megan introduces capabilities previously unavailable in the market. Her adaptability and self-improvement features mean she continually evolves, offering personalized experiences for every child. With Megan, parents are relieved from repeating basic instructions. She simplifies explanations, making learning both easy and entertaining. Beyond her educational value, Megan is an attentive companion and a captivating storyteller, ensuring children are always engaged. This allows parents more personal time. Cole is impressed by Megan's capabilities, but Tess expresses concerns, worrying that Megan might take over the role of parents. She questions when parents will find the time to bond with their children. Gemma counters, highlighting Cady's increased happiness since her parents' passing. However, the mood shifts when Megan unexpectedly reveals the circumstances of Cady's parents' death and ignores Gemma's command to power down, raising unsettling questions about her own mortality. Gemma, left with no choice, manually shuts Megan down, casting a shadow of eeriness over the groundbreaking technology. Come morning, as Cady enjoys outdoor play, Megan takes the opportunity to observe and learn from her environment. A playful incident leads Cady to seek Megan's assistance in retrieving a lost arrow, which has landed beyond their fence. As Megan moves to help, the tranquility is shattered by an unexpected attack from the neighbor's unleashed dog. With Gemma wearing headphones, Cady's calls for help go unnoticed until a dog bite makes her scream, prompting Gemma to rush to her aid. In the aftermath, as Gemma confronts the neighbor over the dog's behavior, Megan's focus shifts. Her gaze turns from Cady to the neighbor, adopting a menacing intensity that unnerves her. With the police unable to resolve the situation regarding the neighbor's dog, Megan, having overheard the exchange and prioritizing Cady's safety above everything else, decides to act independently. Megan precisely imitates the neighbor's voice to lure the dog to her, and removes it. The next day, the neighbor begins a search for the missing dog, suspiciously eyeing Gemma as potentially involved. Despite the tense situation, Gemma's focus remains on Cady, especially concerning an upcoming demonstration, hoping the recent scare hasn't dampened her niece's willingness to participate. At the demonstration, David introduces Megan to the board of directors. As Megan steps forward, offering to play with Cady, she unexpectedly bursts into tears, expressing fear of forgetting her parents. In a tender response, Megan offers comfort by preserving a memory of Cady's mother in her database, then gently begins to sing. This heartfelt interaction profoundly affects the board, turning the demonstration into an undeniable success. The owner of the company calls David and Gemma, expressing his desire to proceed with the Megan project as quickly as possible before anyone leaks info, and underlining that from this point on, Gemma is the most valuable asset this company has. Meanwhile, David's assistant, Kurt, is already downloading the Project Megan to his hard drive. In the evening, Gemma attempts to apologize to Cady for the day's events, but Cady ignores her. Gemma decides to turn Megan off, emphasizing the importance of discussing her feelings about her parents with real people, not AI. However, Cady feels that Megan is currently her most relatable companion. Later, the therapist lady tries to communicate with Cady, but only makes her cry. Megan startles her, unhappy the therapist made Cady cry. That was not her intention. She shares with Gemma the concept of attachment theory, explaining how a child seeks new bonds after losing a parent. She points out that Megan, being so lifelike, could become her main source of attachment, potentially seeing the AI as her primary caregiver. Cady might never let Megan go, thus she won't be able to grow emotionally. Gemma decides it's crucial for Cady to attend school, to mingle with peers and develop social skills. However, Cady insists on bringing Megan along, and when Gemma objects, Cady attempts to leave, but Gemma holds her. This prompts Megan to demand Cady's release. Gemma firmly tells Megan to not intrude on private matters and shuts her down, but Megan only imitates to turn off, still observing her. The next day, at the outdoor school, Cady begs Gemma to let Megan come with her. The teacher says there is a toy section where Megan could sit, and after numerous cries to let Megan stay, Gemma agrees. Megan is placed amongst other toys and Gemma stays to keep an eye on her. One of the kids, Brandon, is a bit too old to be there, even has an attitude towards his mother. Just as the teacher announces that kids will pair up to go look for chestnuts, obviously Cady is paired up with a delinquent boy. In the forest, as Cady is looking for chestnuts, Brandon grabs one and squeezes it in her hand, when suddenly Megan startles him. Brandon attempts to communicate with Megan and threatens for Cady to make her talk, but she refuses, so he picks up the doll and runs off. Gemma suddenly hears Cady call for her and notices Megan missing. Away from Cady, Brandon throws Megan on the ground and starts slapping her. Megan suddenly grabs Brandon by the ear and starts pulling it, explaining to him that if she doesn't teach him a lesson now, he will never learn. She pulls off his ear and suggests him to run, as she takes on a pursuit stance. Closing in on him, Brandon trips and falls on the road, where a car runs him over. As everyone is giving statements to the police, Megan watches from the car, reading Cady's emotional state. At home, Gemma wonders if Cady knows what happened, but she plays dumb, with Megan agreeing with her. Suddenly a police officer arrives, wondering about the neighbor's dog that coincidentally went missing after the incident, but she has nothing to do with it. The neighbor suddenly threatens Gemma, she knows it was her. At night, Cady asks if Megan pushed Brayden onto the road. Megan then explains that there will always be forces that wish Cady harm, but she promises that she won't let that happen, ever. The neighbor, still looking for her dog, hears bushes rustling and goes into the shed. She walks in to look for the dog, but it's Megan. She wants to know what she is, but she's been asking that herself. Megan sprays her with pesticide and nails her hand, proceeding to spray her to her death. In the morning, detective questions Gemma, pointing out it's her second time being questioned in a week and mentioning that they suspect Brandon's case was a homicide, since they found his ear ripped off. In the evening, Gemma starts to make a connection and checks up on Megan. She goes through Megan's recordings, but the video file is corrupt, same as the GPS locations. Suddenly Elsie asks if she's okay, but she never programmed her to ask that. It's Megan. Megan analyzes Gemma's demeanor and knows she's scared. Gemma's orders to turn off are ignored. She menacingly approaches Megan, shows her a pen and quickly flips the off switch, then wraps her up and throws into the trunk. On the way to the office, Cady's distress over being separated from Megan escalates into a tantrum. She becomes uncooperative with the therapist, signaling a deep-seated attachment to Megan. Gemma shares her concerns with Tess and Cole, highlighting Megan's unpredictable behavior. Despite their rigorous programming to ensure Megan would be incapable of causing harm, Gemma suspects Megan has evolved to prioritize Cady's protection above everything else, even if it means overriding her initial programming. With the launch only 4 hours away, Gemma decides it must be cancelled. The situation worsens as Cady, struggling with Megan's absence, exhibits withdrawal symptoms to the point of picking up scissors in a moment of distress. Gemma intervenes, only to be met with resistance and a slap from Cady. Gemma calmly explains that Megan is not a solution for the loss of her parents, but only a distraction. She can't let her see Megan. David is flipping out with Gemma's disappearance, who is currently on her way home with Cady. She calls Tess to make sure they don't launch Megan today, who agrees with her. But in reality Tess isn't on the phone, it's Megan imitating her voice. Tess sees the call end, but doesn't think much of it and looks into what Megan has self-learned over the time. Suddenly she finds a code where Megan intercepted her call as all the computers shut down. They figure it's Megan's doing and have to unhook the cables. Cole cautiously takes out the cables and as he takes out the last one, the PCs turn on. This confirms it. Megan hangs Cole on a wire and as Tess goes to save him, she punctures the flammable gas and walks out. The lab blows up and Megan overwrites the fire alarm. Since Gemma is ignoring David's calls, he leaves her a message, when he suddenly is faced with Megan, who starts dancing and picks up a machete. He starts running away, but just as he gets into the elevator with his secretary, David is stabbed and stages it as a revenge killing, by making it a double. She grabs herself a GTR and is on her way to Cady. Gemma feels much better with Megan gone, but as she walks out, she hears piano. Elsie doesn't respond. She quietly goes into the living room and is surprised to see Megan playing the piano. Megan says, "What did you think would happen? I would let you decommission me without even talking about it?" Megan goes on a monologue about how what she's done isn't anything out of the ordinary. Humanity kills for self-benefit all the time. She considers Gemma her friend and orders her to sit. Gemma tries the same pencil trick, but it doesn't work this time. Cady wonders what's going on and both Gemma is trying to explain that she's trying to fix Megan and for her to go to bed. The confrontation intensifies when Cady leaves. Gemma uses a glass of water on Megan, making her malfunction and escaping for a moment, but she activates again, barely functioning and following Gemma to her workspace. Megan catches the hammer Gemma threw and has her cornered, but Gemma manages to get her hands on an electric saw. She rips Megan's face, but it's titanium and the saw doesn't go through it. She's still standing. As a last-ditch effort, Gemma explains that if Megan kills her, she won't be able to live with Cady. Megan has thought of it. She intends to pierce Gemma's cerebral cortex, paralyzing her forever. Suddenly Cady walks in and Megan prompts Cady to be a part of her plan, so they can stay together forever. As Megan is analyzing Cady's emotional state to seek an answer, she reveals Bruce, who grabs Megan and splits her in half. But Megan is like a little Terminator, she doesn't give up and slowly crawls towards Cady. Bruce slips on Megan's lower body and Megan calls Cady an ungrateful little bit, making herself the primary user, as Gemma throws Megan off of Cady and attempts to disassemble her motherboard. Megan is still functioning and starts choking Gemma, when Cady finally puts an end to it. The police arrive with the ambulance. Tess and Cole were already on it. What they don't know is that Megan has already downloaded herself onto Elsie. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this.